You have probably heard me repeat ad nauseum on this channel that pathological narcissists are people that have accepted an evil spirit or spirits. This is because, just like the great John C. Maxwell states, that we learn by repetition. We teach by repetition. Our thoughts are shaped by repetition. Even our beliefs are the result of repetition. Now, what exactly do I mean when I say that someone has accepted an evil spirit? Let's say you're dealing with someone and their name is Ned or Nancy. Understand that today, what you're dealing with is the evil spirit, and Ned or Nancy died a very long time ago. Understanding who you are is a core part of the teachings here on this channel. So it is important to understand that people, human beings, are spirit, governing a human body with access to tools such as our mind power, our willpower, and our emotions. You are not your body. Your body is a physical vessel for the spirit. Additionally, you are not your mind. Your mind is a tool that you use to make decisions. Additionally, your mind is not your brain. Your brain is a physical organ that is a part of the body. Your mind is non-physical. As a matter of fact, we are mostly not physical. You cannot touch the spirit, you cannot touch your mind, you cannot touch your emotions, and you cannot touch your willpower. Additionally, even though we identify a lot with the physical, we know that we are not physical. For example, if you go to a funeral and let's say the person's name is John, well, John's body is in the casket, but you do not have access to John anymore. Well, where did John go? Well, John's spirit now is in another dimension. John's spirit is no longer occupying that physical body. You may be familiar with a more common term for this, which is the law of conservation. And the law of conservation states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only converted from one form to another. The law of conservation is the first law of thermodynamics, which was made popular by Albert Einstein. So where does energy go if it cannot be destroyed? It is important to understand that a system always has the same amount of energy unless it is added in from the outside. Now, depending on the culture that you come from, you may use another term for spirit. So you could call this source energy, chi, prana, life force, essence, etc. However, it is important to understand that you are consciousness itself. You are the life. It is important to understand that you are consciousness itself. You are the life force. So when we say that John lost his life, technically that is inaccurate because John is the life that is lost. And technically John cannot be destroyed. The energy is only transformed. So if we are spirit operating a human body, then when someone loses their life, then they are spirit without a human body. If we take a look at this from the angle of the birth process, then you came from the unmanifested. So you are spirit, and then you operated a human body. And then the death process then is you lose the human body and you return to spirit. However, understand that you have always been spirit. Now, when it comes to pathological narcissists, it is important that you understand that pathological narcissists are people that abandon their true selves in childhood for an ego, that which we call the mask. And what is the ego? The ego is a mind-made construct. It is a figment of a child's imagination now existing inside of an adult's body. The ego is what you have been interacting with, and in the case of intimate relationships, then the ego is probably what you fell in love with. However, the ego does not exist. Pathological narcissists are people that are living through their ego, so they are predominantly their ego. And they are predominantly their ego because they abandon their true self for a false self. In the narcissistic entanglement, if you are wondering why you could really never get to know the person, well, technically you couldn't know the true them because they don't exist. What you were interacting with was their false self. The thing about egos is that egos do not have the ability to self-reflect. An ego can only project. This is why pathological narcissists are unable to self-reflect. What they will do is project all of their deep-seated shame, guilt, anger, and rage onto you. This is why they also need so much attention, validation, and your energy, because you're trying to boost their ego. Scott Peck, psychiatrist and author, defines evil as the inability to self-reflect. So understand that pathological narcissists have the inability to self-reflect because they abandoned their true self. Instead, they adopted a false self, that which we call the ego or the mask. I mentioned before that we are spirit operating a human body with access to tools such as our mind power, our willpower, and our emotions. Now, for pathological narcissists, they are not spirit. They have identified with their mind. This is because they believe that they are their ego. Now, I mentioned to you before that the mind is a tool that you use to make decisions. If pathological narcissists believe that they are their mind, then you're dealing with someone that is losing their minds. You are dealing with a captain that abandoned their ship. This person is in the back seat and nobody is operating the vehicle. Essentially, you're dealing with someone that is programmed for destruction because nobody is there to operate the different tools. Nobody is there to operate the different faculties that they were assigned. So if someone abandons their spirit, they're also disconnecting from their mind. And this is why on one level, pathological narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, is classified as a mental illness. Other times you will hear me describe pathological narcissists as lost souls or dark souls. This is because if you, the life force, steps out, then darkness has to step in. You may also be familiar with the phrase, nature abhors a vacuum. And I mentioned to you before that when it comes to the law of conservation or the law of thermodynamics, that a system always has to have the same amount of energy unless it is added in from the outside. So if you, the consciousness, steps out, then unconsciousness has to step in. The unfortunate reality is that you're dealing with someone that is programmed backwards. They do not have a connection to their spirit. Instead, they are operating out of a false self that does not have the ability to self-reflect. It can only project. This is why pathological narcissists believe that their feelings are facts and all of their thoughts are true. There is no one operating the ship to discern or to use the different faculties that they have available to them. So essentially, you're dealing with someone that is unconscious. This would be a similar equivalent to what you know as a zombie. So physically, the flesh, the body is going to be walking around. However, the actual person, the true person, the original person is no longer there. What you're dealing with today is an evil spirit or spirit. So essentially, you're dealing with a walk-in. Pathological narcissists are walking black holes. Their energy only consume. And what do black holes do? Well, they consume light. And who is the light? Well, you are the light. If pathological narcissists are predominantly dark energy, then they are going to try to consume your light. At an emotional level, pathological narcissists are people that are rooted in their shame and they are unable to move past their pride. What we're looking at here is negative energy. It is dark energy because they do not have access to the light. They do not have access to positive energy. It is important to understand the shame that we're talking about here is not functional shame. It is pathological shame. So it is pathologically low self-esteem. A pathology is the study of dis-ease. It is the study of disorders. Anything that is pathological is operating in excess. It is operating at an extreme level. For example, if we say that John is a pathological gambler, then John is not someone that gambles from time to time. John is a gambling addict. Additionally, if we say that someone is a pathological liar, like pathological narcissist, then they do not merely tell white lies here and there. They are addicted to lying. The best analogy that I can give you for pathologically low self-esteem is that understand that way back, we're talking about back in their childhood years, pathological narcissists have a thorn that is stuck in the middle of their back. Because of this thorn, they are in very deep pain. Now, the problem is that you come along bright-eyed and bushy-tailed wanting to help them. However, pathological narcissists have already accepted the pain that they are feeling. So when you try to help them, they believe that you are trying to manipulate them. They will not accept your love. They will not accept your kindness because they believe that kindness is weakness. Pathological narcissists are people that have accepted chaos. They are addicted to chaos. They have accepted drama and trauma, which means that they are also going to try to drag you into their drama, trauma, and misery. If we take a look at Dr. David Hawkins' work on shame, and we're talking about pathological shame here, if someone is stuck at this low level vibration, shame essentially is the death of the consciousness. It is the death of the energy being. You know that pathological narcissists died a very long time ago because most of them behave between the ages of 5 and 12 years old. You are dealing with someone that did not individuate. They did not become an individual. They did not become adults. So while physically their body grew, their spirit and psyche or soul is underdeveloped. This is what we mean when we say that trauma stunts growth. If you were entangled with a pathological narcissist, then you know that there is a palpable dark presence that travels with them. This is the black hole energy. This is the unconsciousness. This is the darkness that wants to consume your light. Again, what you're dealing with today is that evil spirit. What is evil? Evil is the opposite of living. It is the opposite of life. Evil is antisocial in nature, and what we're saying here that it is against the building of communities. It is against the building of relationship. It destroys, it lies, it causes chaos, it causes derision. It is a very bitter pill to swallow that the pathological narcissist in your life, whether this is a parent or a partner, could be an intimate partner, business partner, this person could be your sibling, could be your best friend. Whoever this is that is a pathological narcissist in your life does not exist. What you are interacting with is a mask, and this mask mirrors you. It is tailor-made to deceive you. What you have been interacting with from day zero are those evil spirits. And this is why when their mask drops, you see the true evil spirit that has been running the show. Some of you have physically seen the dark eyes. If you did not physically see the dark eyes, then maybe it came to you in a dream, where you were dreaming of humanoid creatures or faceless entities. If you did not see the entities, then maybe you have felt it. There is a palpable dark presence that travels with pathological narcissists. And maybe if you didn't feel it, then you smelled the energy that was coming from that entity. That smells essentially like death, rotten eggs, sulfur, etc. It is very important that you understand that pathological narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, which overlaps with antisocial personality disorder, that which you may commonly call sociopathy or psychopathy. This is a psycho-spiritual illness. Now, the reason why clinicians, so we're talking about psychotherapists and psychologists, are unable to give you this information is they do not study the spirit. Most psychologists, most clinicians do not study the area of the spirit. Most of them are reading from a book called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Illnesses. It is important to understand that clinicians are pathologists. And what I mean by that is they look at symptoms in the physical realm and then they assign those symptoms to the psychological realm, to the psyche. And the psyche, again, is a similar equivalent to what we call the soul. Clinicians classify pathologies as mental illnesses. Narcissistic personality disorder has no cure because you cannot cure an evil spirit. Evil spirits must be removed. They must be exorcised. The original spirit, the original consciousness must be delivered from those evil entities. In closing, it is important to understand that pathological narcissists are not naive. They are not knowledge impaired. They are empathy impaired. You are dealing with people that are stuck in victim abuser consciousness because they did not develop past their lower ego. It is a common misconception that pathological narcissists don't have emotions. They have emotions. They are negative emotions from shame to pride. This means that you're dealing with someone that does not have access to love. They do not have access to empathy, to compassion, even to courage. Pathological narcissists are people that exist in victim abuser consciousness. And that means that any relationship that you get into with them will be a victim abuser type 1. Narcissists do not view other people as their equals. Any system that you get into with them will be a vertical. So if they are the abuser, then you're going to be the victim. They want to be masters or you are going to be slave. You are dealing with someone where their energy is predominantly dark. So if you have darkness inside, then eventually you're going to see darkness outside. And this darkness will manifest itself as abuse, neglect, chaos, trauma, derision, etc. People that are stuck in misery, that are stuck in suffering, will also want you to suffer because that is what they have to give. It is important that you use the tools that are available to you to set boundaries, protect your heart, and build a life that celebrates your worth. There is no love or peace or joy in the third dimension. So in order to get away from these toxic personality types, you must get the courage to walk away and stay away. The only thing that you'd find in the third dimension is suffering. As always, good people, if you appreciate the content, please give us a like, share, and subscribe. Go ahead and save the videos. And if you have any questions or feedback, go ahead and leave them in the comment section, and I'll catch you in the next video.